Hello, you are watching MA Instructor Training for course MA109 Hematology. This course is taught on the clinic side of the MA program. The e-text that your students will be in is Akin's Medical Assisting Fundamentals. They'll be in Chapter 47, Intravenous Procedures, Chapter 52, Assisting in the Clinical Laboratory, only in pages 1081 to 1083. They'll also be in Chapter 54, Assisting in Blood Collection, Chapter 55, Assisting in the Analysis of Blood, Chapter 56, Assisting in Microbiology and Immunology, only in the monotesting section. The procedures and proficiencies that your students will be learning will be, of course, performing venipuncture. So they'll be collecting venous blood from a vacuum tube, collecting venous blood from a syringe, and obtaining venous sample with safety winged butterfly needle assembly. Also be performing capillary punctures, hematocrit testing, hemoglobin testing. They'll be performing a blood glucose test with a capillary stick, as well as completing and performing an infectious mononucleosis test and preparing slides for a blood smear. So there's quite a bit to do in this module. Most students are very excited to get to be able to learn how to draw blood. So with that said, all venipuncture begins with practice on our artificial arm. Please look at your artificial arms in your classroom. Make sure that the skin is in good working order, that there are no rips in the skin. And if a new skin or new tubing is needed for your artificial arm, that you place an order at least 2 weeks before the module begins so we can get that replaced. No fake blood goes in the artificial arm. You may use an IV bag of saline water or regular water with a little bit of bleach in it. That will give the students the same feeling of filling up the tubes as the artificial blood would. Okay, SurePath will be used in this module. They'll click on the SurePath self-enroll link. It will then appear on their dashboard. They may also click here on the SurePath link to enter into SurePath. SurePath for this course will be in the hematology section. There is a lesson for each one of the chapters that you will be in, as well as test prep quizzes to help your students prepare for their tests. Please encourage students to get into SurePath as often as possible. You may decide that you would like to use some of the SurePath lessons in one or more of your lectures. You are more than welcome to see how they fit. Please go ahead and explore these chapters and lessons. Okay. Simtex is also used in this module. Simtex is simulations on the procedures that they will be performing on each other. Simtex will be used as ICA graded assignment. It's a great idea to start with the Simtex together on the board using the AV equipment so that your students can become familiar with Simtex before they need to practice on their own. Students will practice. The practice is ungraded, but the ICA test for the Simtex procedures will be a graded assignment. They can complete those as many times as they feel necessary to achieve a higher grade. SimChart link is also provided in this module for documentation purposes. If you have not become familiar with SimChart, please go ahead and enter into the SimChart and find out where the documentation can be performed and become familiar with that so you can help your students with their electronic documentation. You may also, if you're brand new and not familiar with SimChart, get in touch with the administrative instructor for your program and get a little bit of extra work and help on SimChart. These are the days that you can click, your students can click on to go right to the work that they need for those days. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the module itself. As usual, you will fill out your instructor introduction and contact information. You click on the link, go to edit, and then go to the page. You can enter in a little bit about yourself, videos, audio. You can put in pictures and GIFs. Make sure that your students know what your hours availability are and how to contact you if they have a question after hours. As with any course, the academic honesty policy needs to be filled out by the student on the first day of the module. Have students open up the academic honesty policy, go over the requirements and expectations for academic honesty, have them click I will and then submit. Once they've done that, then the course will begin to open for them. If they do not do this, then the course will remain grayed out and they will not be able to move on. Have them click on their e-texts and open those, as well as their website links and forms. Have them open and make sure that they have access to their resources. There is our SIM chart link again here. If they so choose to use that link instead of on the home page. Make sure that they have entered in and you have covered well the syllabi for the hematology course, so they know how the course will flow and expectations to pass this course. As always, row assignments are available to all students on the first day of the module, as they can work on these as needed as long as they upload and submit their work on the scheduled due date. Here is a simulation practice for your students. Please encourage them to work on these practices as many times as possible, so when they do get to the testing requirement for these, it will be easy and effortless for them. Okay, so we'll go to day one. So day one, as an instructor, you will have to publish day one. The circle with a line through it means it is not published yet, so students will not be able to see any of this work. Once you come here and click on it, it turns green with a check mark. Students will then be able to access any of the things inside day one. As an instructor, please make sure that you have clicked on each one of these blue links and that the videos are in good working order and you're aware of what these links have in them and how to navigate through them so you can help your students. Okay. So you're just going to be following through these days, making sure that they are published for the day that you're going to teach. Please do not publish days until you get to the day in the lesson plan. We do not want students working ahead. Ross Edge is also part of this course. If you have not been on the Ross Edge website, please make sure that you sign in with your instructor Ross email. Make yourself aware of what is in this site and what your students will need to do. Instructors have the exact same access to the Ross Edge site as students do. You will not have answers to any of the quizzes or keys for this, so you'll have to do a little bit of extra homework for Ross Edge, although it is very informative, very useful, and I think it's really fun. I like Ross Edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at your assignments. Okay, so there's Ross Edge for day 1 and 3, blood collection terminology. Anytime you see a little spaceship, it means that this will be auto-graded by Canvas and you won't have to auto-grade it. You won't have to grade it, sorry. Your students will also have multiple attempts to get a better grade. Okay. Syntax, even though it doesn't have a spaceship, is also auto-populated with a grade, so you will not have to grade that. Okay, there are all your row, and then there's a venipuncture test and a hematology test. And then the proficiency documentation, and then the simulation practice. This course is going to require that students are exposed to bodily fluids, so it's up to us to make sure that our students are safe and comfortable with the equipment. Like I said earlier in the video, all practice begins with the artificial arm without blood. We are going to use simple commands for our students. They get nervous and we don't want them being upset and moving around with the needles that don't have safety engaged on them yet. We want them to be very careful when they are using the sharps container. Please make sure sharps containers are right next to the student at arm level. Students should not be engaging in safety and walking around in order to find a sharps container. All equipment should be kept locked in a cabinet. Students should not have full access to needles and equipment until they're ready to perform a procedure. We do not want to encourage or let our students think that it's okay for them to take any equipment home. Sharps containers should have the lid shut but not snap shut. And then stored away in a locked cabinet once class has ended. We're going to be very careful and mindful to clean off all of our tables and any surfaces that may have had a bodily fluid on them before and after each procedure and before class ends. Students must also wear all their PPE equipment for hematology as well as any other course that has bodily fluids. Want to make sure they have their masks, their gowns, their gloves on at all times. Students should not be wearing their equipment outside of the classroom. That is only for procedures when they are practicing with bodily fluids. Students that absolutely cannot have, for some medical reason, their blood drawn must have a note from their physician to excuse them from having their blood drawn. We want to handle that topic with discretion, and hopefully we have someone else in class or another staff member that would be there available for that student to practice. Students can get sore during this module. Their arms can start to become bruised. So we use smaller needles than we need to on purpose. No student should be performing any procedure with a needle without the instructor or a teacher's assistant watching every step. If you have a large class, please work with your campus supervision to make sure that a TA has scheduled to be of help for you in the classroom. Students also sometimes will always pick the same partner. Please be mindful to find a strategy to make sure that students are rotating partners to where they're getting experience on different size arms, different veins, and different skin textures. No outside person is allowed to come into class for a blood draw. That is for insurance reasons and for liability. If you have any questions, if you need any help, please reach out to your campus supervisor or myself. I'm here to help support you. This can be a very, very fun and exciting mod for everyone. This is a very busy module with all the courses that are included in this mod. So please make sure that you're encouraging your students to get their work finished. If there is any downtime, especially for online students, that they're working on their professionalism assignments, please be in contact with your administrative instructor that is partnering with your students to make sure that everyone is finishing on time. With that, thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.